You're about to deal with forces you can't possibly comprehend.
Welcome to the Going North podcast, where we will deliver you tips and techniques to advance yourself in anything you decide to do in life. I am your host, Dom Brightman, and every Thursday I will interview authors, especially self-published ones from various walks of life, who will deliver you information and inspiration to help you charge forward. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, we have, you guessed it, another author. And this one probably came straight out of Marvel once you find out who this is. Because this wonderful lady right here, she is not only an author, she is also a Reiki practitioner and a chakra energy healer. So she not only knows how to write a book, she also knows how to align your chakras. And she is a wonderful lady that is going to help other ladies find the strength to move on with life and be the best versions of themselves. And you guys are probably wondering who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one, the only, Phoenix J. Marai. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Oh, I'm doing fabulous.
I love the cowboy voice. Love the Western. I just love it.
Oh yeah, we should saddle up later.
Yes, we should. I'm a cowgirl straight from Texas, so I know how to saddle.
Oh, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great indeed. Saddle up and wrangle up some book sales. That's what I'm talking about.
That's how we have to do it.
The listeners are probably like, oh man, this is going to be bad after this interview is over.
But they're going to have great energy. They're going to have great energy. They're going to be balanced. They're going to be happy. And they're going to be laughing like, I don't know what's wrong, but I'm just joyful. So, yes, let's get them pumped up. And it's the end of the night, so get everybody, calm down so they can prepare for the next day.
That's right, prepared for the next day indeed, in more ways than one with the pumps. So I just gave a short little glimpse, a little sliver into the wonderful Phoenix mind, filling in the gaps where I may have missed some things.
No, actually, other than being an advocate for domestic violence, suicide, and mental health, I believe that you pretty much explained who I am. I do enjoy my Reiki practicing and my chakra healing, something that I came into during my rebirth. So I really enjoyed that. Besides being a mother and a grandmother, a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 2, a veteran. So very active in the community. So I'm quite a productive but busy woman.
Oh, wow. Grandmother?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Of 2, yes.
Oh.
I know I don't look like a grandmother.
Must have started early, huh?
His first child at 20, so he's actually the one who made me a grandmother. So he's 24 and he had his first at 22. So my grandchildren are 2 and 9 months, 8 months.
Oh,
so pretty. I'm not too young. I'm just not the normal grandmother, as we know in the 70s, 80s, and somewhere in the 90s. Grandmothers were, you would see them with their muumuus on and their rollers and their house shoes, standing in the door with a fly swatter, yelling at the children, get somewhere and sit down. But today's grandmothers, we're quite different. We're seeking our goals. We're not so much as taking the load off of our children, but we are allowing them to experience their own load. So I call myself more or less a grandma and not a grandma.
Oh, you got some glitter heels somewhere, don't you?
You know what? You know what? It's funny that you say that because I've been asked that question before about some my little glitter heels. But I tell people I'm just a white light. I guess that's the best way to say it. I'm a white light and I'm free and I'm here in the universe to shine light and give life to people, and that's really all I know to do.
There you go. So when you see the white light, this is the one you walk into. This is the one you don't avoid. When they say don't go into the light, no, don't listen to them. Go into the light.
Most definitely. Being a Reiki practitioner, because it's a non-traditional sense of healing, more people they're scared because it's something of the unknown. But actually, Reiki truly means just a life force. It's a universal life force that dwells in all of us. It's that little gut feeling that you get sometimes when people come around and you're like, oh, I just don't understand why my stomach feels this way. That's actually your energy. That's your root chakra letting you know that there's something next to you that's not very good. So it's not gonna benefit you if you allow it to set itself in your midst, in your aura. So I live by that. There are 5 principles that I live by. And it has kept me since 2017 when I first heard of energy healing and Reiki when I had a nervous breakdown. And I began to practice Reiki after 5 days in the mental hospital. And it's only been a little bit over a year, and I'm already a level 2 Reiki practitioner. I'm going into my master by the end of the year. I should be a Reiki master where I will be able to start teaching other people Reiki. So I'm excited about that.
Wow. Nervous breakdown last year? Oh, my goodness.
Yes, my ex-husband and I, which the grief, the grind, that is what my chapter in the book is about. It's about divorce grief, where I speak about how the emotions and the feelings that I had for my ex-husband had overlapped between lust and love. And so once it overlapped, I lost my identity as his wife, and I became his side chick for 2 years.
Ouch.
So So that's what I discuss and I speak about in the chapter of Grief to Grind, is how after the nervous breakdown, before the nervous breakdown, actually the day that I checked myself into the hospital, we had been sexually active for 2 years post our divorce. And so I called and I asked him a question, what are we doing? And his simple answer was, we're just having fun. And you're talking about, I had been with this man since I was 20. We got divorced in 2015. So you are talking about 20 years of emotions flooded at one time. And I was actually going to commit suicide. I had suicidal thoughts. I was going to pull out in front of an 18-wheeler. I was on I-35 coming out of Austin back to Killeen. And I called my daughter and she said, Mom, don't. Just check yourself into the hospital. And she said one simple thing. She said, what looks happy may not always be happy. And that statement stopped me from driving out in front of a 18-wheeler.
Wow. Oh, man. And that's one heck of a horrible moment. We're glad you're still here. On behalf of the podcast listeners, we're glad you are still here, because we wouldn't have this conversation right now. Because suicide is crazy at the moment with all these folks committing suicide. Like, we don't know what they're going through, but we're glad that you decided to stay on the planet and take the advice of one of your children.
Yes, and as an advocate for suicide, one of the things, being a person that was in the sunken place, it's not ourselves that we desire to kill, it's the pain that we feel. It's really the pain that we want to get rid of, but because we don't know how to get rid of the pain, we just get rid of ourselves. So that's something that, and I know it sounds ironic, But those 5 days that I was in the hospital circling around, I mean, in a circle for 5 days, I felt like the children of Israel. Like, I was walking around in a circle for 5 days. That's when the Spirit revealed to me, like, seriously. That's when the Spirit revealed to me why I was trying to harm myself. It was because what I had allowed this man to do to me, I had not forgiven myself yet. And that's the part of me that I wanted to get rid of. That part that I had allowed for 15 years for this man to emotionally abuse me, verbally abuse me, and mentally abuse me. I wanted to kill her. But Phoenix said, no, you can't do that, because if you die, if Rochelle dies, then Phoenix dies. And so that's when Phoenix began to arise, March 22nd, 2017.
Yeah, day after my mom's birthday. Good day right there.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Man, oh man. Alrighty, so I overcome a nervous breakdown, marching around for 5 days with no tambourines, right?
No tambourines, just me. And that had to be one of the biggest transformational moments in my life, to be in a place where I couldn't call anybody. I had no freedom. I was on suicide watch, and I felt like a prisoner, and I was in bondage. And it reminded me of the bondage that I had been in for over 15 years. And that's when I made the decision that I would never allow myself to be put in bondage again. And when I walked up out of that place, I tell you, my path of fire blazing has only increased and intensified with the heat, because the growth that has come from practicing Reiki and understanding healing, and healing doesn't come overnight. There's processes that we have to go through. There's 7 stages of grief that you have to go through in order to even get to the point where you can say, I can breathe. There's 7 stages that you have to go through. Nobody knows how long it takes for you to get through those stages. And sometimes we rush through them because we want to say, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm over this. He didn't hurt me. No, actually he did. And he hurt you pretty bad. So we don't want to be shameful or embarrassed about what happened. So for me to stand today, like you said, and on this podcast with you, and thank you for giving me this platform to speak, my voice will forever be emblazed with empowerment for women to not stay in bondage, to find your true self, to not be afraid to speak up when you know you're being mistreated, to reach out to resources, not to have a man to tell you who you are and who you're not, and then to believe those words. That's why I walk this path daily, and that's why I wake up every day.
Yeah, because no one really, at least from a lady's perspective, I imagine no one wants to be the side chick or the main chick. They just want to be the only chick. I mean, yeah, because it's like this talker like main chick, and then the side chick is like, well, don't you just want to be the only chick that he thinks about, at least, and devotes his time and energy to, and then being the side chick for 2 years, overcoming that, and then being a nervous breakdown, and then going on the Reiki path. So how did you discover Reiki?
I went to a women's symposium a few weeks before my breakdown. And a lady, she asked me if she could read my energy. And I was like, excuse me? She's like, can I read your energy? And I was like, okay. And so she laid me down on the ground, and she took her hands, and she was just the 7 points of my body. She was going through my 7 points, and she gets to my root chakra, that I know what that means. I know what it is now. And she just stopped, and she's like, oh my gosh, you are on fire. Now, mind you, my legs were swollen up. My feet were swollen up. They looked like I was going into congestive heart failure. They wanted to rush me to the hospital, and I was like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. Mind you, my legs were sore and everything. So when I returned home that night, I went on the internet and I looked up energy healing and what this was about, and that's when I learned about Reiki. Well, of course, the master says when the student is ready to learn, the teacher appears. So that very day that I looked up energy healing, that's the day that the spirit came to me and began to heal me. But first, I had to go through my breakdown in order to get my breakthrough. So all of the yuckiness that was inside, the unforgiveness, the hatred, the anger, all of that had to come out first. So if it had not been for the breakdown that I had, the nervous breakdown, Reiki never would have came a part of my life, because I never would have opened up my spiritual eye enough for the spirit to come in and heal me and awaken a part of me that now when I look past my life into my past, I can see where my mind being blinded by lust, not love, but by lust almost caused my death. Not a natural death, but a spiritual death. So that's how I got to Reiki.
I mean, that's
Reiki
awesome.
saved my life. Yeah, Reiki saved my life, actually. Because I was going to church, and nothing against those that do, but I had been going to an institution here in the local area for like 2 years, and I was begging, practically I was begging to be healed. But because no one was at the level of attunement with the spirit, they couldn't heal me. So at that time, the only person that could heal me was me.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, and your story actually reminded me of a friend of mine who was an elementary school teacher named Amy, and she was going through so much stress and pain that she was neglecting herself so much that she woke up one day and she realized that she couldn't move. Her back was just about broken from all the pain she was holding in her body. So it's very true what you said there about the pain, because if you get enough pain and you hold it all in your body, it'll break down. And if you're able to muster up enough courage and strength and to be able to get healed, you'll be able to turn that into a breakthrough. So it's really true what you're saying there.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank God that your friend also identified the dis-ease. And that's the one thing that I love about Reiki, is that it breaks down even the word disease, because it's a dis-ease that's within your body. So when you break the two up, the dis and the ease, you find out that there are organs that are also connected to our chakras. So certain organs cause certain diseases. And so once you begin to cleanse your chakras, those certain dis-eases disappear. For one, VA has noted me or identified me as bipolar 2. Now, bipolar 2, if you look it up, that's a person that can flip-flop on you at any time. 10 seconds from now, I can turn into the Wicked Witch of the West. And then in 30 seconds, I can come back and be like, oh, hey, how you doing? So that's a very unstable person.
Yep, and then that's when I would hang up the phone and be like, this podcast is over. I'm just messing with you.
But that's bipolar too. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
That's bipolar too. But thanks to Reiki, I don't have to take that medication every day. Only if it gets to a point where I have allowed myself to not be attuned with the universe. And that's when I've gotten myself just totally stressed out to the point that I'm not listening to the spirit. I'm not listening to myself. I'm just going on a tangent right now. What they would call a wild ass. I'm just having one of those moments.
Well, and speaking of moments, I'm pretty sure there are some moments where you've really felt that you've really gotten better at something and that you want to give some advice to folks who want to one day get to that point where they want to teach Reiki to others. So even though you're not fully a Reiki master yet, any advice to those who want to become a Reiki master?
The best advice is to understand that you will have to work with you. Like you will be your first patient. You will be your first client. You. When we understand that we ourselves can heal ourselves because the power is within us, that's when we can go out and do what the Spirit has purposed us to do. Everyone cannot be a Reiki master. Everyone is not going to be a Reiki practitioner. It's a gift that only a few of us is given to. And most of us have known that we've had this gift for years. We just didn't know what it was. So for those who have had dreams, visions, strong in intuition, likes to be by themselves, anything like that, seek out Reiki. Seek out a Reiki practitioner or a Reiki master in your area to find out if you have been one of the chosen ones to heal the earth.
There we go. Heal Mother Earth. Queen Mother Earth.
You are a mess. In other words, I guess you can say that Mother Earth, we become Mother Earth. We do. You really do.
That's right.
You become a womb. Yeah, you become a womb for others to be birthed. Oh, gosh. A revelation right on the podcast. Yes, we become a womb for others to be rebirthed. The Matrix. Marvelous.
Oh, man, I'm pregnant. Crap.
Oh, see, you getting me started. You're going to get me started, and then we're going to be on here for 2 hours. You know, you give me a tune and get me started. See, I done got a revelation now. I'm like, oh, my gosh, the womb, the Matrix. You know, I'm starting to see it like, oh, wow. Yeah, I need to write this down after this podcast. I need to meditate. Like,
Darn straight. Got to bring pen and paper.
Yes, indeed. You have definitely enlightened me for me. You have enlightened me for me. So that's a great thing.
Woohoo! Living up to my last name, which is freaking awesome. That's what I'm talking about.
I know. It is. It is great.
Well, I've seen some pictures of the Reiki manuals. I'm pretty sure there are some other books that have inspired you. Am I listing a few titles in addition to the Bible?
Actually, Soul Detox was one of the first books that I started to read when I started with the Reiki, and it talks about taking your soul through a detox. And so that's one, Soul Detox. Opening to Spirit is another book that I read. That's like my Bible, actually. I read that probably more than I do the King James. Due to my teachings and my understanding and learnings, I only read the Hebrew Bible, so I don't indulge so much into the King James. So that is another one of my number one Bibles. I am learning Hebrew. I know some people ask me that, do you know Hebrew? No, I am learning. I have a concordance.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. The folks at Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks are Hebrews every day. They brew coffee every day.
Every day.
That's right.
So, those are a couple of books. And then I do a lot of webinars, actually, more than anything. Lisa Nichols is one of my favorite transformation coaches. So I watch a lot of her webinars, and I follow her a lot. Eric Thomas, I wake up to him. I get videos from him like every morning. On YouTube. It's like, bing, so I get a notification. So he is another person that I indulge in. And for those, the question that you asked before, those that are desiring to be a Reiki master or a coach of any sort, find a mentor, even if it's a virtual mentor. Because at the time, I didn't even know that Black people did Reiki. Like, I had no idea, but it's actually a practice of our ancestors. So as I began to study even more into African history, it's actually a practice of our ancestors. It just wasn't called Reiki. So I'm learning, I read a lot. It's just not one book.
Hey, I'm all for it. I mean, life is too short to be reading one book. I mean, sure, there's one book that probably has a lot of your core values, or at least that bases your life philosophy out of, but at the same time, life's too short for just one book. There's plenty of books out there to read, and I like what you said about having virtual mentors, because not everyone in your immediate vicinity can be your mentor. You may not have access to someone who's looking to do what you want to do. Like what you said, like you didn't know that black folks did Reiki. It's like, yeah, you gotta go out there and on YouTube World and find somebody who's doing what you want to do, and then emulate them, and then emulate enough of them to a point where you can actually start crafting your own style of practice. So that's really amazing right there.
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, that's one thing I'm learning. If you want to be you, and that's a hashtag that I have, be you, and it's be your own uniqueness. So in order to be you, you have to be unique, even in any industry. And I'm learning there are more black Reiki practitioners, Reiki masters. So in order for me, like you said, to be that one different one, the phoenix, there is something different that I have to do, but I have to be patient in that, because I'm still a baby, and I'm excited, but I still have to be patient in my teaching. And that's one thing that I love about Reiki, is teaching me to be patient. I can't microwave my path, even though I believe that I'm so far behind. I'm really actually where God has purposed me to be. I just caught up faster than what people thought I would.
And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, a lot of folks out there, they may sell you a product and it may not even be done. So don't worry, you are doing just fine. Funny enough, a couple buddies of mine in the past, kept on beating myself up because I wanted to get some digital products out, and they were like, yeah, when you compare yourself now to where you were back then, are you going faster or slower? And I'm like, I'm neither, because I wasn't doing this freaking 7 years ago. I was like, right, so don't beat yourself up too much. Life happens, and your paradigm may shift along the way. So you're right, patience is a wonderful thing. You gotta have a big well of patience, especially when you're dealing with people. And folks like to come to that well of yours of patience and get some buckets out of it.
You know, and it's amazing that even at times people know your value, they don't desire to invest in your value. And that's another thing that I'm learning. People investing in your value, and be patient even with that, because ultimately it's not people that invested in you, it's God who invested in you. He's the one that put the value in you. So whatever the value is that is due to you is going to be drawn to you. So there's so much that we learn on a daily basis. And when we learn that we grow daily and we grow and shift daily. And then monthly we go through a humongous shift. So just think about it. The last 30 days, those of you that are listening, the last 2 weeks, just think about your life and how things around you have changed, the people that have changed around you, your attitude, the way you speak, even how you dress, how you wear your hair. Like all of those things are part of us to show that we're growing every day. And sometimes we miss it because we're looking for the big growth instead of looking for the small growth.
There you go. So speaking of growth in time, if you were 25 in the current year of 2018, with all of your amassed knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
25 in 2018, that would mean that I would be married. I'm going to go there because you asked this question. I would be married 5 years into my marriage, and I would tell my 25-year-old self to run and not look back. Because at 25, my ex-husband said to me, I don't know why I married you.
Oh.
Yes. And I stayed another 10 years. So Phoenix would say to Rochelle, get your ass out of there. That's what I would say. I would tell Rochelle to stay in Killeen, Texas, that you're going to be okay being a single mother. You're not the first, nor are you the last woman that has raised children by herself. But the fact that he was in the military, the children, you know what I'm saying, we would have been taken care of. Don't be fearful, because Phoenix is going to arise 12, you know what I'm saying, she's coming. So just stay in your position, go through the process, because Phoenix is coming. That's what I would tell myself. Like, run, girl. Don't look back. Just grab the kids and run. Because going through the process by yourself, just know that when you come out, Phoenix is going to be there hugging you and showing you a greater way to get to the path that has already been ordained for you.
That's right. Tell her to put them Nikes on. It's like, girl, just go.
Do it. Just do it. I'm telling you, man, 25 was a shift for me, and I missed it. I missed the shift, and I had to endure it. But that was okay, because when 35 came around, I was ready to come out the traffic circle. So that 25-year-old, she was young and in love and in lust. But this one in 2018, I'll be like, girl, please leave him right there. We gonna be okay. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? That's fine if we gotta live in a trailer. It's fine if you gotta be on temporary housing. You're gonna be okay if you gotta work 3 jobs. You're gonna be okay if you gotta drive a hoopty for right now. You're gonna be okay if you. Yes, that's exactly what I would say.
Some trails are nice, though. I will say that. I've been in a couple trails, and they've been actually surprisingly nice. You'd be surprised.
Exactly. But it's a mindset. It was a mindset. I'm telling you, it was a mindset, because being in the military, we had the best housing. You know, we drove the best cars, because everybody was trying to compete with everybody. Nobody did, I didn't want you to drive out your garage and your car look better than mine, or come out your driveway and your car look better than mine. So it was a competition of all the time. But it was a fake life that I lived. None of that stuff made me happy. The BMW, the Mercedes, the big houses, the fancy cars, none of that made me happy. Me right now, with having nothing, I have a hoopty. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment with natural hair, natural nails, natural toenails, and I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. That's growth.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Growth like a big old tree. That's what I'm talking about.
Planted by the water.
Oh, yeah. That's right indeed. So for those who want to visit you and get some shade from the heat, that's kind of a bad analogy since your name's Phoenix. But for those who want to keep in contact with you and keep on what you're doing and where to buy the book and all that good stuff, how can we keep in touch with you?
Well, Phoenix is really nice. She has the J. Mariah at the end, so it breaks it up a little bit, so that lets you know she's sweet. But you can follow me on Instagram and on Facebook at I am Phoenix J. My personal page is Phoenix J. Mariah, and Mariah is spelled MA'Ri, Phoenix, just like Phoenix, Arizona, and just the letter J. And on Instagram, I am Phoenix J73, and my website is IamPhoenixJ.com.
Well, there you have it, folks. Phoenix J. Mariah, baby, that's right. Go on ahead and keep up with her, follow her Instagram, slide into her DMs. I was messing with you, I was messing. Oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah, slide to them DMs and get some Reiki goodness. Sign up for classes.
Yes, I do. Yes, actually, I do. I have classes that are coming up where I can virtually do classes, because Reiki can be done distance, but I can also come to you, depending on where you live, and if it's not a Reiki practitioner in your area, or if you just would like to personally work with me. I do work with a lot of people out of the Texas area, but I will drive 6 hours That's as far as the radius that I will drive. I will drive 6 hours for a client. So if there is someone that is within a 6-hour radius of Texas, I know that just to get out of Texas takes 6 hours. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so we're talking about from the Texas state line. So, but if they would like to speak with me or meet, talk over Zoom, I will most likely, I will love to do that. Like I said, I do have a class that's coming up. It's going to start at the end of the month or most likely the beginning of July. It's a lot going on. And I will work with you, like I said, virtually, or I'll come to you.
Yep, that's what she said. Woo! Yes, indeed.
Say, hey, me and my purple table, we will get, hey, I have my purple massage table. Purple is my color. I love it. It's a color of royalty. So when my clients lay down, I love for them to be relaxed. So purple is a common color. So I will set up an atmosphere and we will go in, cleanse, balance, break it up, and then we'll come back out.
That's right, out of the closet, right? Let me stop.
Hey, you know what? And actually, that is what, oh, I'm so glad that you said that, because actually that's what the healing is. Healing is just coming out of the closet, because we all have our skeletons and we have things that we've dealt with, but we don't want everyone else to know. So that's why Reiki is so wonderful, because it's only between you, yourself, and I, God, and the spirit. That's it. And that person that's working with you. But the person that's working with you is already attuned with the spirit, so they're going to know even if you don't want us to know. We're going to know. We're going to pick it up. So that's the best thing about this healing. It's kind of like unspoken words, heard, and then you're healed. So can you imagine not speaking, but your body is speaking? That's what Reiki does.
Oh, yeah, the body speaks in so many ways, a lot louder than any words. Oh, man.
Indeed.
Thanks a bunch for your listening ears on the Going North podcast. I hope you really, really enjoyed that episode. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to share it with your friends and family, especially those who love podcasts and love listening to some inspiration and motivation. And keep a lookout for the sequel to Going North, Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself in October 2018.